Okay, so Stephen, last time we met, we had discussed giving you some homework of taking several personality and career assessment type quizzes to kind of narrow down our search of kind of what we're looking to do in the future. So, after reviewing your results, I kind of wanted to take our session today to talk about the results and the career options that are out there and see if any of these would be something you're looking forward to or would like to pursue. Does that sound okay?
Okay, sounds good to me.
Awesome. So the first test that I had you look at was the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs, and you tested INFP, which is the thoughtful idealist.
Okay.
Looking more in depth of those results, I in this is introverted, which means people who tend to direct their energy more towards their inner self and reflecting rather than like outward socialization. Then N, we had intuition, where people who prefer intuition tend to take in information by seeing the bigger picture. They focus on patterns and interrelationships. Then we also had F for feeling, where this is typically you base your decisions and conclusions on personal and social values and understanding the harmony and the primary goals. Lastly, we had P for perceiving, who people are typically looking for more information before coming to conclusions and taking a spontaneous, flexible approach to the world. Kind of hearing that, does that sound kind of close to things that you've experienced with your life?
Yeah, I think that really sounds like me. I'm definitely introverted, and I feel like uh, I rely on intuition a lot, and feeling makes sense. I don't know about perceiving so much, but the rest of it really feels like me.
Okay. So looking after that and just kind of looking at the careers, some possible careers, and that would be a mental health counselor, school or career counselor, or psychologist. Hearing those options, do any of those speak to you? If so, why? If not, why?
Yeah, that surprises me what a dead ringer those are. Yeah, I think I've always been interested in like a mental health career or being a therapist. So um, I think those really line up.
Okay. So then the next test, then we're going to move on to our next one I had was the Cooter career interest. So for this one, you scored with the abbreviation of AIS. A being artistic, your highest, I investigative being your second highest, and S being social, your third highest. So those who score A or artistic are those who have interest in activities that include working with physical, verbal, or human materials to create art or products or communication. And they tend to be very confident in things such as language, art, music, and drama. And they solve problems by using intuition, expressiveness, and originality. The I stands for investigative, like I mentioned, and these individuals, they have interest in activities that include the creative investigation of physical, biological, or cultural happenings. And they have confidence in scientific and mathematical skills. And they solve problems by thinking, gathering information, and performing detailed analysis. So as we're kind of reading through these, I'm wondering, before I go on to social, have you noticed any connections between the Myers-Briggs one that we were talking about earlier?
Yeah, I think the artistic makes sense. I'm a musician, and I feel like that fits in with like the feeling with the Myers Briggs, um, and the investigative. I feel like kind of lines up with my introversion and just feeling like a reflective or a deep thinker in that way.
Okay. So then moving on with that one, the last one you had was social, where people who test within the social category have interests that include working to inform, develop, heal, and teach other people. And these individuals are confident in developing and growing relationships with other people. And they typically solve problems through empathy and helping others to succeed in seeking mutuality with people. So some careers that came up with this one were anthropology and archaeology teacher in post-secondary, architect or expert in landscape, or biological science teacher also in post-secondary. I know you did mention that you really wanted to go into the mental clinical health and all of that. So would you say any of these spark an interest in you?
Um, so I got a bit of a background doing research, and so kind of the investigative pursuits are like I don't know, being a professor of sorts, I think would be of interest to me.
Okay. And then we have two more tests. The next one that we have is the Cooter Skills Confidence. This one, I did notice some similarities between the Cooter Career Interest and this one. You scored social, artistic, and investigative. So you have those same attributes that you're scoring. This one, it's just they're scoring in a different order. So we have social being your highest, artistic being the second highest, and then investigative being the third. So does that have any surprise to you, or do you think that kind of stands true to what you think that your skills, confidence, and that your interests would be kind of overlapping?
I think it makes me feel good that my skills match up with my interests. Yeah, and that there's that consistency, I think, is reinforcing.
So I think that's good that you're able to identify that. So some things that were suggested for careers, and this are very similar to the last one. There was an architecture teacher, post-secondary, an art therapist, which to me could be kind of along with your being a musician and also wanting to work in the therapy field, and then maybe being an art, drama, or music teacher in post-secondary. So hearing those options, does one of those speak to you more than another? If so, why?
I think an art therapist should be like a dream job of sorts because it can bind, the artistic side with the mental health side. So I think that'd be really cool.
Okay, and then we have another one was the Cooter work values. This was a assessment that really focused on what you look for in the job that you have. So after taking this assessment, it stated that security or having job security was the utmost important to you. Then independence and being able to be trusted in the work that you're doing and the decisions that you make was the next most important. The third one being the coworkers you have being people who you find trustworthy and enjoyable and even making like potential friendships with. Then looking at four was prestige. This means that like your work tasks and level of responsibility causes others to respect you both in your job and in society in general. And then five, lifestyle, simply meaning that your work hours do not conflict with the things that you want to do outside of work, hanging out with family, friends, and leisure activities. Is this something that would sound accurate to what you have now, or is this more something what you're looking for in your future job?
Yeah, I think I would be most comfortable in a job in which I have as much independence as possible. Um, yeah, I don't do well with authority that I don't get along with, and that's really burned me in past jobs. And then I think the work-life balance, which I think is number five, is really important to me too.
And then I know it also mentioned like prestige and stuff. Does that sound kind of accurate to you where you want to have kind of like that status within your job or even society? Is that something that you find to be important to you as well?
Um, I think it's less about the social recognition and more about knowing that I've pushed myself as far as I feel like I'm capable of going.
Okay, awesome. Looking at the jobs for this one, it suggested cardiologist, audiologist, or anesthesiologist. I know these might seem a little far-fetched from some of the things that we've talked about, but hearing any of these, do they spark any interest in you? And if so, why do they spark interest? If not, maybe why aren't they kind of up towards the top of your list?
It sounds like most of them would involve going to medical school, which I do not think would be a good fit for me.
So yeah, that field has always been a little far-fetched for me too. So
I don't do well with blood.
I can definitely agree with that one. Okay, and so the last test that I had you take was the ONET. This was the interest profiler where it scored very similarly to the Cooter Skills Confidence and the career interests. I found a lot of similarity in this one where you did score A as your highest with artistic, which for this one is a little different. It is interest in working with like the artistic side, creativity in their work, and can be done without following a set of rules. Your second highest then was investigative, which would be where you have ideas of thinking rather than physical activity or leading people, and you like searching for facts and figuring out problems. And then last one being social, where you like to work with others to help them learn and grow. And you like working with objects, machines, or you like working with people, sorry, more than you like working with objects, machines, and information. So, hearing these and knowing how similar they are to some of the Cooter assessments that you did, how does that kind of make you feel?
Um, I think it's so cool that, no matter what the assessment is, that I'm kind of getting the same results on these top three things, in different order. But the fact that, it's artistic, investigative, and social across the board, um, I think is validating.
I think that shows a that even multiple assessments that you're going to be able to find some level of consistency and that we'll be able to find a career in here that will best suit you and what you're looking for in your future. So some options that popped up for ONET were therapist, counselor, and social worker. I know they all kind of sound very similar, but which of those three do you think you would more find yourself willing to pursue?
Probably the therapist or counselor role, I think.
And is there any particular reason? I know you said you wanted to do the clinical mental health field, but kind of what drew you to that?
Um, I think my introversion is part of it. I really always feel comfortable like in one-on-one dynamics. And I've always kind of just had an interest in the human psyche and understanding people. And that's just, I think, part of who I am as a social person. And so I think it'd be really cool to incorporate that in a career in some way.
Okay. So before we wrap up for today's session, I did kind of want to talk about some SMART goals that I have and then see if there's any that you wanted to add on as well. So the first SMART goal that I have on here would be to finish and graduate from an accredited counseling psychology program. The next one would be for you to obtain your Missouri state licensure. And then last one, engage in practical experiences to build your resume. Do these sound like obtainable SMART goals for you?
I think so, yeah. So that's the track to becoming a therapist.
And then did you have any other maybe SMART goals that you wanted to maybe add on? And if not, totally fine, but thought I would ask.
I don't think so, but I'll definitely brainstorm and think about that.
Okay, I think that would be maybe a good homework assignment for this session going into our next one is thinking maybe are there any other SMART goals or things that I can do to best get me to where I want to be? So that does wrap up of our time for today, and I will see you next session.
Thank you.